an episode that was. We kind of learned about Gemma's backstory and how Mark and her met, as well as kind of what's going on at Lumon. Very dark stuff.
Very dark. It was really a very sad episode, and we kind of mentioned it yesterday. We did like a first thoughts video, but it was very much a Mark and Gemma centered episode. There wasn't, almost no one else was even in. There were a few others, but briefly.
The main team wasn't there.
The main team wasn't there.
This was more of just a Mark and Gemma story. Mostly Gemma, what's going on with her. But first, we're two lore geeks, and we love everything about nerdy stuff, like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, and
Witcher.
Sci-fi, fantasy. Well, we did like Witcher, and now we don't. So we like Witcher with Henry Cavill in it.
We like Henry Cavill Witcher.
If you like this kind of stuff like we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop some videos for you. But we're going to get right into the breakdown for the latest episode of Severance Season 2.
Severance Season 2, Episode 7 was sad. We saw a couple of different things. First of all, we saw what they were calling journeying in Mark's mind, Mark's memories, I guess. And really that's where we saw the history with Gemma from meeting her, giving blood at the university where they both worked. And that was like the Lumon thing there. It was like, oh yeah, this company is in, in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it really showed kind of the harder parts of their relationship, but I also feel like it showed they had a really solid relationship, even though it was hard. They were obviously really trying to have children and having a lot of problems, and were assuming that that's somehow how they got hold of Gemma, whether it was somewhat willingly in the beginning, and then it obviously at some point has become not. But what we did learn was that she is indeed fully alive, like Gemma is alive, not any Miss Casey, not some clone. Like, we were kind of questioning that for a while. Nobody really knew. Like, they knew there was some version of her there, but we didn't know. But it's actually her. It's actually her. And so when they were going through like their fertility stuff, and there was Lumon stuff there as well, and the doctor, who we see with her later, was there briefly. So like it's all very, very connected and very, very sketchy.
It's probably how they lured her in, with maybe some IVF, promising to pay for IVF if she gets severed or
something like something. We don't know, but it had to be connected somehow, and that's probably how she got started. But she is indeed in there alive, and then a good part of the episode was about her and what she's going through in what we assume is present day, and that was weird. Why don't we talk about that? So
there's lots of rooms. For some reason, they're all named after like cities.
They were named after projects.
They
were named after projects that Mark and the team had completed.
Yeah, they were refining them for something. So we don't know what they are yet. Maybe they're memories, because whenever she goes into a different room, she's like
severed differently in the different rooms, like, and they really made that very clear. Like, that's something that we're supposed to know. It wasn't kind of questionable. Like, when she went in for the dentist thing, he said like, oh, it's been 6 weeks, and she's like, but I was just here. So every time she goes into one of these essentially kind of mild torture rooms, she's having something, she's either having to write thank you notes till her fingers bleed, or she's having dental work done, or whatever. And then the room that she hadn't been in had a sign on it now that was the Cold Harbor, which is, we also found out, Mark is 96%
done with it. So who knows what happens if it gets completed.
Well, we assume that Gemma is no more, because whoever it was telling the doctor he was going to have to say goodbye to her. And by the way, what a creepy doctor.
What a creep. Trying to hit on Gemma, which is weird.
All versions of her.
Yeah, it was a bit strange.
And Gemma, like herself, was like not I mean, none of them really seemed to want that, but especially her. And then it was really, really sad. What I found to be really sad, well, it was all sad, but was when she wanted to go back, and she said she wanted to go back to Mark, and he was like, oh, he's moved on, he's remarried, they have a child, which is sad because that's what she was trying, that's what they wanted. So we don't think she knows that what's going. Does she know that he thinks she's dead? Because Mark thinks that she died, or had thought. Now he knows she's alive, but previously, for the last however long, he thought she was dead, and we don't know if she knows that they faked her death. Yeah. He might think she just disappeared or went
Anyway, she knocks out the doctor guy with a chair.
That's part of the episode, really.
Yeah, it was. He deserved it. Cheered. She takes his card and then goes into the elevator, and then we're not really sure what floor she was on, but
because
when she
was different.
Yeah, it was different.
It was different. It was obviously a different floor because the whole thing is like lit up and really bright and annoyingly fluorescent, and then it's so dark where she is.
There's like no light.
I took that to mean it was nighttime, but then Milchick, we saw him. So
the same kind of hallway was also to. Remember the break room where they would take them if they like misbehaved or something?
Yeah, you're right. It was dark as well.
It was dark as well. So whenever she is on her way down there, she goes back to her any
Miss
self.
Casey.
Yeah, she goes back to the Miss Casey personality, and then she starts walking through the hallway, big long dark hallway, and then she gets to the door, and Milchick somehow pops out of there.
He's always there.
He's everywhere. Of course, he tells her that she needs to go back.
But she questioned it. Well, she said, like, where is, and then he didn't let her finish, but, like, we don't know, was she asking for Mark? Was she going to ask for, like, we don't, where is what? Like, she, as any Gemma, as Miss Casey, knew that something wasn't quite right, but she didn't know what it was. And it really makes you wonder, has she done this before? Because I think the doctor said something about that. Something about, I can't remember now. We'll have to rewatch. It's definitely an episode you could rewatch and probably pick up more things.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to pick up.
I think it was kind of alluded to that maybe this wasn't the first time.
Then Milchick tells her to go back, and so she goes back. Then the doctor lady is there who does her tests.
The
nurse who does her test.
He kind of babysits her, I guess.
And then that's where we see the flashback to Mark, where he doesn't go to the party that Gemma went to, and then we see some lights that flash on his house, and it's pretty early, so he was probably wondering why she was back so early, but instead it was a couple police officers that showed up and told him some bad news.
And before that even happened, though, it just like felt like really weird and off, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be the night that they say she died. And I assume that because they said she was in a car accident, like maybe there was a fire or it was just really bad, so he wasn't able to identify her body, because I think that's why a lot of people are asking the question, well, is she really alive? Is this a clone or something? But now I guess the assumption is maybe that her body was too badly damaged where he couldn't really identify her, but they were like, oh yeah, it's her car, it's her whatever. So,
yeah.
I don't know, I thought it was just really, it was obviously really sad all around, and obviously with those flashbacks to Mark, he looked better, he seemed better, he was like in a much better state than what we've seen him. He's trying to reintegrate, right? He's trying to bring the Innie and the Outie together. What's going to happen with this? Because Innie Mark is really into Helly R.
Yeah.
But Outie Mark seems to really love his wife and really be thinking that she's alive. So what is that going to do? Yeah,
that'll be a good question to answer.
Helly R is fine, but Outie, Helena, not so much. So
yeah, so we'll have to figure out what's going to be coming up in the next episode. I think we have about 3 episodes left. I'm assuming if there's 10.
Yeah, I think there's going to be 10. I'm not sure. Do you have any other thoughts about it? Anything else that really stood out to you?
Well, at first I thought Lumon was testing reintegration, but after thinking about it, they probably already know how to do it. It's really weird because the room thing is like different like compartments like in the brain.
Well, they ask like, is whatever is it holding up? With her, like with all of the bouncing around, is it holding up? And they said yes.
Yeah.
Do you think she's the only one?
Probably not. There's probably more.
It's a huge building.
So what was up with like the whole goat thing?
That I don't have an answer for that.
But at least we got to see Brynn.
We may. Oh, Brienne. Yes, I was very excited. Maybe we won't. We may not know.
What do the goats symbolize?
Well, maybe they were testing goats first.
Severed goats.
Severed goats is not it.
So, of course, towards the end of the episode, Mark's sister, Devin, tells the one lady that's helping Mark with the reintegration thing that she's going to call the cops to help. That
was another thing that we didn't even talk about at all, was that Devin was like, oh, we could go to the birthplace or whatever, because remember that was last season, but there was something about like the women were severing themselves
for childbirth. What? How convenient would that be?
I don't know. If someone wants to present that as an option, like maybe. But yeah, she mentioned going. So I wonder if that's going to be if they are going to end up bringing that back into, because that's so weird. Like that's a weird. I kind of get why, but like also, it seems like a horrible idea.
The woman that was helping Mark left, so I don't know how he's going to finish his reintegration, or he's just going to be left in that state. We'll have to see what happens on the next episode if they introduce any of that. So I don't know what they're going to focus on.
Should have waited until Mark woke up to let him say what he wanted, because now they're going to be in a real pickle.
Well, I guess Devin can explain that to Mark.
Because he's awake.
Yep, so he'll be pretty pissed. I'm sure they'll give us that in the next few episodes here. So, of course, when they come out, we'll give our first impressions and we'll break them down and we'll give you our thoughts and our kind of theories and opinions on it.
Which may be horribly wrong, but
we'll throw them out there just in case. So if you enjoy listening to us ramble on the thoughts about this show, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video for more content like this, and we'll see you on the next one.